Hey folks, AJ here. Welcome to the media booth. This is episode number 4, where we're talking about keep testing your limits. There is a great movie, Man of Steel. It has that Russell Crowe as Jor-El, um, Superman's father, said to him, and this quote has just reigned in my head for a long time. It was just powerful the way how it is. I'm one person that I can quote a whole bunch of movies and different lines and always reference something like that. And this quote, I'll put it up on the screen. It was saying that the only way to know how strong you are is to keep testing your limits. And just in the comparison of how they did it, the cinematography and everything, it was great. And what does that have to do with media? I've had dealing with a lot of ministries, which I'm very thankful for, but I've noticed, and this is just human nature, unfortunately, that once we've put in a lot of effort and we finally have succumbed the adversities that we had to go through, we rightfully so want to take a break. We've been pushing and pushing. Can I take a break? And there's nothing the matter with taking a break, but some people take that break for years, decades, centuries. But the idea is when everything we're doing with media, a lot of us have been pushing and pushing and pushing to understand the uploads, the downloads, camera angles, streaming platforms, RTMPS, and all this other stuff that we've had to surmount to figure out how to get this stuff working, which I applaud all of y'all that have done that. But the thing is, the same amount of effort it took you to get here, you still need to keep pushing, meaning that you figured out how to get scripture and lyrics on the wall. You figured out how to get a live stream. Yep, I'm done. There's nothing else you have to be doing. No, that's not it. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing to the forefront of stuff. Like I'm not going to talk about it in the way I really wanted to talk about. I did it on the Facebook group that we have, but I'm doing and researching and playing around with this AI stuff. Not, I mean, I am a geek, so yes, it's interesting to me, but I'm thinking about it from a standpoint of church because just like in my first book, it talks about that unfortunately churches are the last one to embrace technology. And by the time they get aboard of it, they weren't at the table, at the discussion table when this stuff was being made to help bring a piece of conscience in that morality of whatever you want to call when the stuff was being developed. And we have to take the leftovers because we decided to, no, we're so heavenly minded, we're no earthly good. And we weren't able to be there to be like, hey, or to quote, again, told you I love quoting movies, Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. It was like, you're too busy thinking about how we can do it. No one ever asked, should we? And that's what I'm saying. I want to be a part and know what's going on so I'm not lost when this stuff hits. I've told this story before. I remember my mom, she was adamant about writing checks, going to the bank, and I'm like, Mom, you should get a debit card. I'm not going to do that. Well, she resisted, refused to get one until the system changed where she didn't have a choice because it was better for the banks to stop allowing people to come into the bank and having everything being done through ATMs and online. And she got a debit card. When progress happens, if you keep resisting and fighting, you're going to get left behind. We don't have to go that far. Turn around. Look to your left, to your right of how many ministries refused to change and get on board with this live streaming. Or I deal with a bunch of them still that are doing it, but it's reluctant. So they just did the bare minimum just to get by. And no one is pushing the limits of, man, if we're able to help when the congregation couldn't come and it satisfied them and helped them and keep them connected for 2 years, there's proof that it works. How far can we go with this? How many more people can we reach? How much better can our stuff be? How much more tech can we implement? How much more proficient can we be in this? Hey, instead of just Sundays, let's push our limits to see, can we do something like this on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday? Hey, let's actually do something. Again, that's pushing your limits. Pushing that, hey, you did good here, but you're capable of more. Or are you content with just standing still? That's what it's all about. It's not about just burning extra cash and all that. That's not it at all. It's, and I've said it before, when you know better can be done, do better. If you know that, hey, we're having an issue with the lighting or something like that, and you watch a video, you hear, or you know of another ministry that has solved that issue, now you have an answer. Now that you have an answer, are you going to just stay and be content with what you got when you know there's an issue and especially you know how to solve it? That's pushing your limits. Just like you had to push to get people to spend money on stuff that nobody understood to get you live streaming or getting whatever that you need, you have to pick that fight up again and do it again. It's not about just being content where you're at. Keep pushing your limits because you do not realize how strong you are. You do not realize the impact of your ministry if you just keep pushing the limits. Again, I'm not saying that I'm trying to prophesy and tell you what your calling is if you're a minister or your church. I'm not saying that at all. But the fact is, there are 7.8 billion people on the face of the planet. How many people do you think you can reach or you would like to reach or impact? That's what it's about. I mean, if you're content with just reaching the 25 people that are in your church and you have absolutely no interest of reaching anybody outside of the four walls, this message ain't for you. But if we're truly about the Great Commission, it is about for us to go to the highways and hedges and share the message to as many people as possible. So why not keep pushing the limits? Push the limits of what you can do. Push the limits on how to better streamline your workflow to make it easier. That's what I'm using the AI for. Instead of me staying up for 8 hours doing stuff, if I can shrink that down to 7, it's worth it. If I can shrink it down to 4, it's worth it. If I can shrink it down to 1, it is really, really worth it. Why not? The technology is available to make stuff better. That's just one aspect of it. But hey, that's great, ministers. If you preach a message on Saturday, Sunday, whatever day you do, why not see how hard can you go? How much further can you? How much more can you do? How much more effective can you be? That's what it's about, pushing your limits. Don't be satisfied with just where you're at, because as long as the earth remains, there's always seed time and harvest, meaning that there is no plateau. When you automatically stop going forward, you go back by default. So again, keep pushing your limits. You'll be surprised just how much you're capable of. Again, don't stop. Keep going. That's what it's all about. So I want my ministry, my media ministry, to constantly improve. I want us to be able to do stuff better, implement stuff better, make stuff flow easier, make the service better, make the communications better, make more people aware of the events that we have going on, being able to reach, be able to worship, be able to minister in different capacities. That's what it's all about. So let me know. What do you think? What are your thoughts about this? Do you continue? Do you feel that you should keep pushing your limits? If you are, let everybody know down below. What are you doing? And again, I really appreciate this, folks. Thank you for stopping by the media booth, and we will catch you on the next video, podcast, or whatever we decide to call this. We'll talk to y'all later, folks.